Hello and welcome back to Mastering Flat Design. In our last video we got started on our video camera and we're going to pick up right where we left off by creating the lens that we're going to attach to the front of the camera. And this is just a simple series of rectangles and lines. So we're going to start by going to the rectangle tool. Make sure that we're inside the video camera folder, which is inside the video production folder, which is inside the main content folder. So inside the video camera folder, we're going to create a new layer above all of the current layers, and we're going to get started with that layer. So using the rectangle tool, we're going to set our fill to nothing, basically, our stroke to white. And we want our stroke to be 3-point instead of 1-point. And we're not going to round the corners at all. This is just a regular rectangle. And we'll start off by drawing, and we'll attach this to the camera later, but for now we'll just start off by drawing the base of the lens that attaches to the camera. And we'll make it about 40 pixels tall and 10 pixels wide, like so. And that's the part that we'll attach to the camera. And then we'll just create a series of other rectangles that attach to the front of it until we get something that looks like a lens. So I'm going to take this layer, Command J to duplicate it, and then with the move tool we can just nudge this over until the strokes for those two are overlapping, and then Command T or Control T on a PC to transform that. And we're going to make it a little bit taller by clicking and dragging down on this handle here and holding onto Option or Alt on a PC to make it a little bit taller. And then we'll release Option and drag out the right edge to make it wider, like so. Enter on the numeric keypad to apply those transformations. Then I'm going to draw the front end of the lens, so we'll duplicate that layer again, drag it out to the right, transform it. I'm going to make it taller, again holding onto Option so that it drags both in the up and down direction, like so. And then we'll drag this out to make it a little bit longer and hit enter. And then we're going to put another rectangle in between these, and we're going to alter that rectangle so that it fits the increase in size. So the way we're going to do that is we're just going to duplicate this layer again, Command J, V to switch to the move tool. We'll nudge this over until I'm going to nudge this up a little bit so you can see the shape itself. We're going to nudge this over until the right edge is right up against the left edge of the other square. And then I'm going to nudge this back down. A will switch us to the direct selection tool so that we can edit these points. Actually, before we do that, let's Command T to transform it again. And we're going to grab this left edge and drag it over until it overlaps the stroke from this shape right here. Enter to apply those changes. Then with the direct selection tool, you can get to that by hitting A on the keyboard. We're going to click and drag around the bottom left corner, and you'll see that the other 3 anchor points are now deselected. And then I'm just going to hit the up arrow key, and it'll ask us if we want to turn this into a regular path. I'm going to click on yes, and then I'll hit the up arrow key again until it's lined up with the bottom edge of this rectangle here. And then we'll click on the top left anchor point here and then nudge it down until it's aligned properly. Then we can click outside to deselect those shapes, V to switch to the move tool, Command 1 to zoom out to 100% and see how that looks. And it looks pretty good. I don't want it to be quite that wide. Let's zoom in a little bit. I'm going to hit A to switch to the direct selection tool again, and I'm going to drag around all 4 of these corners here, and it's going to grab corners from both of those shapes. And you can see here which 6 anchor points are selected. And with those 6 selected, I'm just going to hit the left arrow key a couple of times to nudge it in so that this altered shape here isn't quite as wide as it was before. Click outside to deselect, Command 1 to zoom out, and there we go. That looks pretty good. So now I'm just going to add a little bit more detail to the lenses to make it look a little more interesting. We're going to do this using the line tool. So we're going to use the line tool. I'm going to turn off the fill. Oops, Command Z to undo that. Let's close that, Command Z to undo that. I didn't realize I had the background layer selected here. So let's come up here and just create a new layer at the top of the video camera layer, still inside the video camera layer. And then we'll create our stroke. So we have our stroke or our line tool selected here. There's no fill, we have a stroke, and it's going to be a 1-point stroke. And make sure that the weight here is set to 1 pixel as well. And then over here on this particular rectangle, I'm going to click at the top and drag down, holding onto Shift so that it doesn't move left and right, it stays perfectly vertical. and we'll drag down to the bottom like so. V to switch to the move tool, and we can see what that looks like. Then I'm going to duplicate that, Command J or Control J on a PC, and then nudge this new copy to the right a little bit. And then this is basically going to be our focus ring. And so I'm going to put some horizontal lines going across this way. So again, with the line tool, we're going to click up here and drag to the right, like so. V to switch to the move tool so that we can see what that looks like. And that looks good. So let's Command J to duplicate that. And we'll nudge it down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pixels. Command J, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Command J, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we'll just keep making more copies of this until we have the shape we're looking for. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Command J to duplicate it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Command J, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that should do it. So there's our focus ring, and then I'm going to put a couple more vertical lines on the front part of the lens just to add a little more interest. So I'm going to grab this vertical line here, I'm going to right click on it, and click on shape 2, and let's turn that shape off and on to make sure it's the right one, and it is. It's that left vertical line. So I'm going to duplicate that, Command J or Control J on a PC, and then we'll nudge that new copy over here to the right. We need to resize it so that it's the right height for our shape. We'll resize the bottom as well. We might have to zoom in a little bit so we can grab the right handle here. There we go. And there we go. Command 1 to zoom back out. Let's zoom back in a little bit. And then we'll grab that shape, duplicate it, and nudge it over a little bit. And we're not going to put the horizontal lines here because this isn't the focus ring, but we're just doing that to add a little bit more interest and detail to it. And that looks pretty good. So now we're going to grab all of those layers and move them over. So we got to figure out which layers those are first. First of all, we have this shape 3, which is this tiny, let's zoom in a little bit so we can see. The shape 3 and all of these shape 3 copy layers are all of these horizontal lines we created for the focus ring. So let's grab all of those shape 3 layers, grab them and put them in a group, and we'll call this group Focus Ring Detail. The shape 2 copy, let's see, we got to figure out which layers are which. These two belong to the front part of the lens, so we're going to grab these, and for now I'll just drag them at the very top of the video camera layer, but above that focus ring detail folder. And then we'll grab these two here, and these two layers are the vertical lines in that focus ring. So we're going to grab those and drag those into the focus ring detail folder as well. So we turn that off and on, and we can see the focus ring turning off and on. So then we'll grab this layer, okay. And basically what I'm doing is I'm just turning all of these layers off and on to see which layers we need to alter. Now these ellipses we don't need to worry about, but everything from this rectangle all the way up to these rectangles here, these seem to be all part of that lens. So we're going to grab all of those and put them into a new group, and we're going to call that group lens. And then we'll just turn that lens group off and on to make sure that we got all of the appropriate layers grouped in there, and we did. So now we can just grab that group, drag it over here and attach it to the front of the camera, like so. Command 1 to zoom out to 100%, and there we go. So now let's minimize the video camera group, click on that group to select it, and we can now nudge that icon around. And that's how you illustrate a video camera icon for our flat design. So let's save our file. We'll save it as flatdesign12.psd, and we'll move on to the next video. Thank you for watching.